Like, would it have been better? Some people are very like religiously telling you like you need to have the team in the office, just like Elon Musk tweeted. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but basically he said
Yeah.
he needs everybody to come in for at least a 40-hour week. What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
but Elon Musk,
Is Elon
let's be
Musk?
real. Let's be real. He's, a billionaire, and he's saying that for a very particular reason. He's saying that because he legally cannot reduce his workforce without having to pay all these extra overages, right? Like, he's in a very different position than any of us. And so if he just says out loud that people have to start coming into the office to work, some of his staff is going to get scared and they're going to let themselves go without being let go by the company, which is going to save their company money. So that's a whole nother, they're in a whole nother realm um, than we are, And I feel like it really depends on the business founder. And this entire time, Elon Musk has been pro working remote, and that's his whole ethos, and that's how they would attract top talent. So the fact that he's going against that is just showing you that he's just trying to save money right now. So
Interesting. Okay.
that's the way that I see that. And for us as founders, it really depends on where you are and how you work best, right? Like for me, what I realized after my previous experience was that in this next iteration of my life, in this next business, I wanted to have a fully remote business. I wanted to build in that way. So I was very intentional about the way that I was building. If someone was working with us and I didn't feel like I had the ability to let go, and that if I noticed I was leaning in too much to micromanage or something like that, it was my sign that I wasn't bringing on the right team member. Because when you bring on top talent that is great at what they do, you don't have to babysit them or micromanage them. You don't have to have a mistrust in what they're doing. It's just naturally you trust what they're doing. It doesn't even matter, honestly, if they're working 3 hours or 30 hours. I don't track anyone's time on my team. I have no idea how much time they actually work. But
But
it works.
work is being done. Work is being
I know
done.
the work is done. I know what our clients are telling us. I know that everyone is saying great things about us. I know that our business is growing. So those are all signals that we are on the right track, you know? And I honestly feel like some of the worst work environments that I've ever been in my life was when there wasn't trust in me as an employee and when people were micromanaging me. And nobody likes that feeling, especially if you're a very entrepreneurial thinker by nature. You don't want someone, constantly managing what you're doing.
Interesting. I love that. So, tell us about your company and what do you do?
Sure. Mindful Goods is, yeah, let's get to that. Mindful Goods has basically been around almost 5 years now. We used to be a full service Amazon agency, and a few years ago, we pivoted to only offering listing optimization services. What happened was that there was so many brands coming to us that were hearing about us that wanted to work with us, but they couldn't afford to work with us. And the one way that I knew that we could help more brands and that we could work with the brands that we really wanted to work with was by just helping them optimize their listings so that then they could work with the best advertising partners available and focus on their traffic, right? It doesn't make sense to focus on traffic until you've figured out your conversion. So we basically help with graphics, SEO, and copy. And that's, across product images, A plus content, and storefront. And so brands will come to us and they just need product images, or maybe they only have the budget for product images, or they come to us and they're already selling on Amazon and they're big time sellers, but they are realizing their competitors are entering Amazon and that they're losing rank and that they really have never invested in their listings in the way that they should be. And so we have brands now that are very early stage mom and pops that are just getting up and running on Amazon. And then we have brands that are, mega sellers that are just trying to optimize the best way possible and to really put thought into what they're doing on Amazon. And we're able to service both of them now.
And when did you start your company?
We started almost 5 years ago now.
What
Yeah.
attracted you to Amazon? Like, why were you like, you know what, this is something I might want to do? Because you said
Because
you had a tech company, right?
yeah, I'm a marketer in my background, right? Like I've always been entrepreneurial. I've always had my own businesses. I've always done marketing within those businesses. And what I realized was that I was a generalist and I wanted to become a specialist, right? I wanted to really focus on one piece of marketing, and I knew it was going to be e-commerce. I just didn't know which part of e-commerce. And so I really had to double down on Amazon. I got lucky because my family One of my aunts has a very successful CPG business, and she was interested in testing out the Amazon for her sales, which once I went through that experience with her brand, I realized if someone like me that has, 10, 15 plus years in marketing has this much of a learning curve to figure out Amazon, how hard is it going to be for the average person? Right. And so, and that was working with like a multi-million dollar brand. Imagine if you're not a multi-million dollar brand who doesn't have the resources, how are you getting help? Right. So it was in that moment that I decided to figure out, okay, how do I build something that can help smaller brands, because there's a lot more smaller brands out there that need help than these, mega multi-million dollar brands who have already made it. They can go hire whoever they want. So once I realized that Amazon was on that trajectory and that I wanted to figure out something that could help those types of sellers, that's when I really doubled down on Amazon. It was really testing the waters at first to see if I wanted to be in that environment. And once I went through it, I was like, okay, great. This is something I can easily help brands with.
And do you feel like this is something that you always have something to learn every day, or you feel like everything is figured out by now? Do you feel like it's pretty straightforward now, looking back, knowing what you know about Amazon?
I feel like there's little things that change every day. Because Amazon's just a beast. But if you take a step back, it's really fundamental. Like a lot of times sellers will come to us and they look a little dazed and confused. It's because every guru out there right now is preaching 150 different things that you need to be doing on Amazon. But really at a high level, it's just two things. It's getting your foundation right with your listings, and it's figuring out your traffic, right?
Mhm.
Like beyond that, like even within traffic, there's 50 million things. But at a high level, if you can just really look at it, like which phase are you in? Have you really figured out the pieces that you need for your listing? Have you turned on your A plus content? I'm like just shocked at some of the brands that come to us and they're doing well just because they got lucky early on, but they haven't really invested in their listings the way that they need to. And if they don't, there's going to be competitors that are going after them,
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way that we look at it, is that like figuring out that first piece and then focusing on the traffic.
Yeah. Do you feel like some of the sellers are sleeping on their laurels in a way, the ones that are successful, and they're like, I don't need a better listing. I don't need better photos. I'm doing all right.
I think they're awake, to be honest. I think COVID woke a lot of people up. They
Got it.
realized that in that moment when stores were not able to open, that they needed to have their listings on point. They needed to make sure that all their digital channels are speaking the same language to the customer, and that they are best represented online at all times. Because what was happening a few years ago is that they would just kind of throw something up on Amazon and then focus on their D2C or focus on stores and then not really focus on Amazon, right? And now they're realizing, okay, Amazon is here to stay. It's a real channel. It's going to be, 50% of our online business. So we need to make sure that we are slowly investing in that over time. Or for some brands, it's all they have.
Mhm. What have you seen that, like, some success factors that you see in a seller and you just know, like, okay, this guy or this lady is going to really kill it? Is it mostly something that they do like physically, or is it something that it relates to their mindset? Like, who do you see that has major success when it comes to selling on Amazon?
Honestly, for me, what I've seen is that there's two types of sellers, right? There's the seller that wants to make a quick buck, and they're usually a private label seller taking something from China, changing the color, and just trying to follow what the YouTube people are saying and sell something online. That works for a lot of people, you know? But who I typically see as people that I look to as idols in the business are people that are building brands for 10 years out. Like they're thinking like long term. They're not so worried about today. They're focused on what they have to do today.
Right.
But they have such a longer vision for this 5, 10 years, whether it's to sell their business or not. They're slowly building their little empire, and they have such a different mindset. They're not about that quick buck. They're not about just like dumping a ton of cash and trying to, juice the system. Like they're just very much trying to put all of those pieces in place so that they have a successful business 5 years from now, right? And it's a very different mindset. It's even if you look at the products of those people, like they're very much more brand focused. They want their creative to look like a brand. They want to invest in great creative. You can tell by like the types of influencers they work with, what their website looks like, what their Instagram looks like. Like they, when you look at their content, you're just like, wow, this looks like a cool brand. You know, like I want to buy this because it gets me excited. You know,
Okay.
or it makes me feel something. You know, there's so many Me Too products out there. They don't make you feel anything. They're just like, okay, great, it's cheaper. You know,
Mhm.
but
Got
it's a different mentality. The people that are creating those like standout brands, they're just okay with taking a hit early on because they know that they're building something that they believe should be in the world, you know?
You think that's something that a lot of Amazon sellers are lacking in this space?
I just think that there's, you know, there's a lot being sold to people that you can make $1 million on Amazon, and there's a lot of people that jump on that bandwagon of thinking that they can get rich overnight because of what they're seeing in these marketing tactics, right? And it's not that easy, you know? And the people who are getting sucked into that are going to spend a ton of money, and if they're going to get defeated, and they're going to, you know, if they're not successful overnight, they're going to get defeated and they're going to walk away. They're maybe not, you know, experienced entrepreneurs who know that, you know, that maybe they need to launch 5 products at one time and one is going to win, you know, or like having that long-term mindset of, you know, I'm going to invest in this business until I have a winning product and I'm going to build a brand around it. And there's, you know, it's less, I think there's less of that out there because of what's being shared on YouTube and things like that.
I mean, what is the best way to learn on Amazon? If somebody's watching right now that has never sold on Amazon, because you're right, there is information overload out there. And it's confusing for somebody that has never been in this space, like they don't know me or you or anybody else. And, they see a cool video and they're like, wow, I could probably do that. I would love to work from Peru of ocean front, property. Like how does somebody do it the right way these days if they want to build something like that?
That's a good question. I think ultimately you have to decide if it's something that you have the time to manage yourself or not. You know, there's a lot of brand builders that we work with that this isn't their full-time thing. You know, they have a full-time job so that they're investing in this a little by little um, on their free time, and they can't really dedicate themselves to the business full time. And if that's the case, you're not going to go take a course
Yeah.
because you're not going to be the one doing the work, right?
Mm,
So you have to find the best partners out there. But if you do have the free time and you do want to build this business and you do have the cash
mm.
necessary, because you do need to have cash necessary to invest in your inventory. I used to be of this mindset, like build a prototype and just launch it and see what happens. But you
Yeah.
need money for marketing, you need money for inventory, you need money for a lot in ecom, right? So you have to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if you don't figure it out right away, your money is sitting parked because your
Yeah.
inventory is not moving, or your money's going out the door because you're spending on marketing and you haven't figured out how to acquire customers fast enough, right? Or affordably enough. So those are the things that you have to be ready for. And you have to either hire a team that is within your budget that you know can execute for you, or go the DIY route. If I was going to go the DIY route today, I mean, I think back in the day there was like the Amazon, what was it, Amazon.com courses. What was it? It was like the
Oh,
main
amazing.
popular.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know if they're still around, are they? Um,
I think they
but
are.
yeah, no, those courses were great. And
Did you
lately,
ever take one? Did you ever take an Amazon course?
I did. And I took actually one that I really loved and I preached for the longest time. I did the amazing one, but I
Okay.
really loved Shannon Roddy's marketplace seller courses, which he just got bought out by a larger agency, which good for him. I'm so happy for him. But his course I really loved for brands because it was it was always updated, and it was updated from a brand perspective of here's how to do it right within terms of service. So you're not, trying to cheat the system and get kicked off of Amazon, right? I love that mindset. But the one that's actually caught my eye recently is Brandon Young's course, that pairs with Data Dive, right?
Got it. Yeah.
Um, I think that that's really also interesting because it's helping people understand things a little bit deeper. That being said, it's a lot, like it's Amazon is a lot. And if you're not a technically savvy, marketing minded person, it's a lot to, go through. So you have to be ready to be open minded to be learning all the time,
Yeah.
right?
It's interesting because, with Rank Bell, luckily because we've been around for so long, we usually end up working with, I would say, mostly like 6, 7, 8 figure sellers. I mean, once in a while, like really new ones trickle in, based on references or somebody referred them to us. And I always see with the new sellers, it's something that I didn't get to see before is this, Daniela. They come in with very high expectations for very little amounts of money. So again, I don't know if it goes back to like watching YouTube, where for a marketing campaign, or if we do a data product survey for somebody, and it helps them in so many ways. I mean, in so
Hmm.
many ways. And sometimes they look at this business and they have this like very small budget for something that would have costed hundreds of thousands of dollars in the past, right? So they'll come into Amazon expecting, for $5,000 or whatever, to have the product, to have the listing, to have the photos, to get it on page one, to do this, all of this. And then they literally expect this, they fully believe that this is doable. And I'm like, you have to look back, like this could have costed you, I don't know, 50,000, 100,000 just to rent a space in a building, one, and then have
Hmm.
radio placements, have TV placements, I don't know, hire somebody outside with flyers for your product. I mean, we came so far from that. And some people's expectations, they're like, oh, they just want this to be successful for like $200. It's like, I don't even know if like disconnected their mind or what, but it's like, if you want this to be successful, because they do look up at people like Brandon Young and Kevin King and everybody that's amazing in our space, and they're like, I could totally do that. I could probably do that with $1,000. And I want these people to put the least amount of money, but it comes a point where it's like, okay, there's expectation, and there's reality. And that's
Hmm.
a phenomenon that I haven't seen before as much as I have the last year, I would say.
So I will say that, so I also have my own, I have a couple brands of my own, right? And we did actually completely turn our business model around so that we could help sellers of all different sizes. So we're very familiar with working with the very small sellers versus the very large sellers. Very large sellers will come in and they'll just, start at 10,000 and go up from there. Very small sellers, $3,500 is a lot of money for them, and $5,000 is a lot of money for them. And I get it, right? Because I have my own brands and I see the amount of money I'm putting into inventory. I see the amount of money that I'm putting into marketing. And so every decision you make, you have to decide whether you're going to get your money back, how long it's going to take you to get your money back, if you'll ever get your
Right.
money back. Um,
Yeah.
but the other thing is just like, what I see is like I'm very much in their shoes right now, and you have to also challenge yourself to say, like, is this an investment that I'm at? Like, am I at this place in my business right now where this is the most critical thing we need to focus on or not? Right. So like when I look at Rank Bell and the way you guys have pivoted more recently, you are very well suited to help those larger sellers, because those larger sellers need all of those insights from secret shopper data. Like that's where you would invest in secret shopper data. But a
Right.
new brand, just getting their fundamentals up on Amazon,
Right.
just getting up and running, they're not at a place where it makes sense for them to be investing in something like that. So it's almost like you need to educate them in that sense, and say,
Yeah.
okay,
And
where
that's
are
what
you today?
we tell them a lot, like I have no problem turning down clients. And it's never about like, oh my god, you can't work with us, but I literally tell them there are certain things that you need to do. Just like the client we were talking about the other day, I said, there's no way for me to help you, whereas maybe other people will be like, oh, I'll just help you, take your money, and then they end up in
Oh
that
no.
situation. But
Yeah.
I
That's
don't want
good
that
for
to
you.
happen. Yeah, I don't want,
Totally.
why would I? I want
Totally.
it to be set up first in a way that will get them to that successful point that they want. And I tell them, when
Totally.
time comes, whether it's 6 months or a year, and hopefully you come back, and if not, that's fine. But I would never want to do anything that I know it's going to not be as successful as it could have been
Totally.
if they have like the listing prepared and all.
Totally. We actually had a client like that as well. Amazing client. So this client was called Moonfruit. It's a CPG product, selling, kids snacks. What's interesting is with them is that they were like a net new brand to Amazon. They're very savvy in terms of like the business owners are very technically marketing minded, but they knew they weren't going to learn Amazon. So they came to us and they were like, just get the listings up and running. And they were asking me like, should we do A plus content or not? And I'm like, the answer is always yes, if you can, obviously. But I understand your budget constraints. Do you need for us to do your A plus content? No. Could you get it done on Fiverr? Sure. Will it take you more time? Probably. Will it look as good? Probably not. Like those are all the questions you need to ask yourself, right? Do you have to have A plus content out the gate to start selling on Amazon? No. You can start with just your product images and your listing copy. If you really want us to do it for you, we can do that for you. That's our lowest package. We can start there. If you guys like working with us, great. Come back. We'll do your A plus content as like a one-off thing in the future. That's what they did. And they just did their product images, their listing copy out the gate, no advertising. And they were tripling sales out the gate month over month. I was just like, you very rarely see that, right? But it's the right
Yeah.
product, the right time, the right niche, the right keywords, the right everything. Like they just nailed it, right? And obviously
Product
chose
like
the right
that.
team, chose the
Yeah.
right team. So we got them up and running. They recently came back to us, did the A plus content, and I said, look, if you guys are going to do this, you should start investing in your advertising. At this point, you can't expect that you're going to keep growing without advertising on Amazon. It's great to see where you've gotten so far without it. Kudos, but you're going to have to start understanding what the traffic metric looks like. And they recently added their A plus content, turned on ads, and their sales went up, I think over 200% within 30 days or something like that. I have to go look at it. But I mean, it's just like understanding where you're at. You don't need to do everything at once. Do what's the most critical thing to generate the next set of cash flow that you need in your business to get you to the next level. And baby steps is okay. Like, yes, there's people with investors that can go in and just dump tens of thousands of dollars. That's awesome when you can do that. When you're at a place in your business and you're like, great, we know the fundamentals of Amazon. We know exactly the formula. We know we need to be doing all these types of marketing things. We know we need to be working with Rank Bell. We know we need to be working with Mindful Goods. Boom, boom, boom. Done. But if you're not at that level, there's no shame in being the entrepreneur that's thinking 5 years out that I'm just going to level up, baby step, baby step, baby step. Like that does work. And we've had multiple. Yes Bar is actually one of those clients, and they're one of the top snack bars being sold on Amazon right now. And they invest very carefully in every dollar that they spend in marketing. They don't go out and just blitz, spray and play marketing. They are very intentional about focusing on content, focusing on leveling up their like digital assets over time, being very intentional about the marketing things that they're testing, right?
And do you think this is something that somebody gets from experience, just from selling on Amazon for a long time? Or do you feel like this is something that somebody out of the gate can follow? Kind of like, okay, I am planning on selling on Amazon for the next 10 years. I actually really want to create a powerful brand. And this is kind of the roadmap. And I mean, sometimes it's not always 100% that direction, but do you feel like there is a roadmap like that for somebody to really succeed on Amazon? And can it succeed with any product, or it's product specific?
I don't think you can succeed with any product. I generally think like if you're creating a product that a little bit of people want, it doesn't have to be millions of people. Great products can be niche products, but they have to be solving a problem unique in their own way, like they have to be good products, right? Um, I just think it's one of those things like if you have a mindset of being a lifelong learner and you're determined to figure something out, then you can do Amazon, you but you don't have to do Amazon, right? Like you have to understand for your business, are we going direct to stores? Are we going direct to consumer? Are we going on Amazon? Are we doing a hybrid model? Maybe you set up Amazon and your Shopify website, but then you focus on stores for the first couple of years so that you're generating consistent cash flow, right? And then, and then maybe you're also focusing on testing ads on one channel that's going to your storefront so you can figure that mechanism out, and you let Amazon just stay idle and see what you can do organically. There's all different ways to do this. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing on Amazon. So I think Amazon is more of like a mindset. I think it's really easy to like jump into it because everyone's like, oh, you have to be on Amazon, but it is a commitment. Like it is like, it's not really a set and forget. You do need to make sure that you're maintaining things monthly a little bit, for instance, my brand, I have on like a very low maintenance right now. Like I have minimal ads, little bit of influencers, someone managing my marketing, and we just keep this like low idle thing going, right? It's not this like huge thing that's taking up all my time, but I'm again thinking 5 years out and building little by little, step by step.
Do you feel like that's also protecting you from like competitors because you're not as hardcore pushing advertisement and pushing all the other channels? Do you feel like that's a good strategy to just kind of go unnoticed?
I don't know. I'm just doing me. I'm not really like focused on my
You haven't
competitors.
really.
I just focus on me, and for me, it's like a personal thing with my brand. Like we do street art jigsaw puzzles, and for me, like I think that that's like it's my passion project. So when I'm like 90 and hanging out on my front porch in my little rocking chair, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I was the lady that archived street art into jigsaw puzzles, and that's like my little thing in the world, my little contribution to the world. And right now, Mindful Goods is a service-based business, and we support brands on Amazon, and it's a beautiful thing, and we love what we're doing, and we're working with all freelancing females, and it's like it's a feel good in the service we're providing, but there's also something to be said for like creating something of your own and putting it out into the world, right?
What is your plan with Mindful Goods? Like, where is this heading, and how long are you planning to be around, or have you ever even considered this?
I have no aspirations of selling, even though I've been asked. I see this as, a long-term play, as long as, Amazon will have us playing. They're actually just opening up service providers within the dashboard, which we have just gotten accepted into, which will be really nice. So we're going to have our offerings. Yeah, when you go into your Seller Central dashboard and you go into your advertising panel, on the left-hand side, it says Amazon Creatives, and our creative services are going to be listed all throughout there. So we're really excited to be, officially an Amazon partner. Like our work has been featured by Amazon in the past. We work really closely with about 5 Amazon employees for the last year, and we get tons of referrals directly from Amazon. So this is just now a way that they're officially going to be sending us referrals. So I don't see that going away. I only see us growing from here. And our business has, literally tripled. More than that. It's crazy. Like when we were just doing regular agency model, we had to turn away so much business because brands just couldn't afford to work with us. And, how many brands can really afford like a 5K monthly retainer, a 3K monthly retainer? Like it's really cost prohibitive for a lot of brands. And so when we just started specializing in this one piece of Amazon and just doing it as best we can, like to make brands look exceptional on Amazon, everything changed for us.
So niche down
Niche down
into something that you love.
Think about with your services as well. Like you weren't
mine
coming
is
out here saying,
very niche.
And you never came out here saying I'm doing all these things, right? Like I noticed that like we service a lot of agencies at this point too, not just brands. And the reason why agencies are working with us is because they lose money on creative a lot of times. It's really hard to micromanage a creative team. It's really hard to build systems around a creative team. And a lot of them don't want to invest their money from their retainers into creative, even though it's going to help the brand perform better at the end of the day. And so what they're doing now is just like basically offering it as like an add-on to their packages and having us do the work. But creative is where it's at. Like one of the things that I wanted to chat with you about was Amazon experiments. Like, have you heard anybody talking about this yet?
I have not. No.
I'm just shocked that nobody's talking about it.
Tell us about it.
Okay, so Amazon Experiments is actually a way for people to validate the work that we're doing. Like,
Okay.
we love to talk about how we're helping brands triple their sales and do all these crazy things. Like, it's awesome. It's not every brand. I can't say it happens with every brand,
Right.
but for instance, we had a client who has a very big catalog, already an existing seller, in a very competitive niche that they basically started. And they are not looking to instantly triple sales overnight. Obviously they would love that. They're just at a different place in their business where they need to incrementally be optimizing and figuring out how they can get 1% here, 2% here. Like, that makes tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for their catalog if they can consistently do that, right? And that's a different level of seller. And so what you're able to do with Amazon Experiments is you're able to test three things. You can test your main images, you can test your titles, and you can split test your A plus content. And all three, after 8 to 10 weeks, Amazon will tell, well, you can end it as short as 4 weeks, but you really want to run it 8 to 10 weeks to get the conclusive data from Amazon. Amazon will tell you at the end of it, your sales have improved by this amount, they've increased by this percentage, and by the next year, we anticipate that you're going to make X amount in sales generated on a best case scenario, mid-tier scenario, worst case scenario.
Wow, that's amazing. So is this like it's a new thing?
It's been around for over a year. I think not that many brands are using it. We've been offering in all of our packages for over a year to brands. We've been offering them dual titles. We've been offering them 2 main images in their packages as a bonus. We've been offering them optional extra modules for their A plus content so they could be running these split tests. How many brands have actually taken advantage of it? I would say 0. So as of recently, we've been working with very closely with a few of the brands that we work with, offering this as a courtesy because we want to help them get the data and show them like this works. So for instance, that big brand that I just told you about,
Yes.
they paid probably, let's just say at least $10,000 for their package with us. We're doing everything soup to nuts for this, one product that they have across how many 20 plus variations, right? And they'll probably do this over and over with us, but let's just say that's one example. We ran just the main image split test, not the title test, not the A plus content test, just the main image test. Less than a 1% increase, and they've already made all their money back.
Unbelievable. That's beautiful.
On the package, on one image that we did for them. They made all their money back.
Yeah. I feel like that's
one thing more than that throughout the next year.
I think that a lot of sellers don't realize when you utilize a good service or something that will actually change the course of your product, they don't think ahead. They think, oh, I'm gonna spend all this money, but they don't understand in how many ways that money can come back and how many times over. Like you said, that one image brought all their money back that they spent on one.
And they're gonna make X amount more than tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, once we apply it to the rest of their catalog. And that's a one-time investment. One-time investment. It's not like they're every month having to spend more and more on advertising. That was a one-time content investment. And from there, they can test even more. They can say, okay, that worked. What happens if we tweak this other thing? Let's test it again. Right? So now that they know the formula for the testing, and now that Amazon is actually giving you the conclusive data for free, the thing that's like a bummer about it is that you have to wait the 8 to 10 weeks depending on the velocity of your product. But it's conclusive, right? Like before, and we still do this, we always split test off of Amazon first with PickFu just to kind of get an idea of iteration, what the people are saying, make sure we're getting things right on that main image, kind of have an idea of which one performs better. Then we always give the client both options regardless. Okay. They can take the one that we think performs better, obviously. I mean, you'd run that on your split test on Amazon and inside of Amazon Experiments, and then know from Amazon conclusively whether it works or not.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody talk about this. You're right.
Imagine, I mean, that's just the main image. I think it's going to be even more powerful for the titles. That's why we're going to be hopefully rolling out something with, I want to start working more with the data dive tool, because we've been offering like a title calculator to our clients where we say, look, here's 2 title options. Let's show you how this calculator works so that you can tweak this over time based on the keywords that you're going to be targeting with your advertising, right?
Right.
So we kind of help them understand that, because it's not necessarily a static thing. Like, you do want to be working with your advertising team to figure that out. But in any case, you would obviously initially out the gate, if you weren't like Moonfruit, for instance, if they weren't running advertising, they wouldn't know what's working, or they wouldn't know what to target, or they wouldn't be focused on that. They just want to go out with the strongest title possible, right? So you would still use some sort of a calculator to figure out, okay, this one is definitely going to get them better reach than if we choose these keywords, right? So they would choose that title, put that, but then you could still split test it inside of your Amazon experiments with the other title that we gave you.
Beautiful. Genius. You're doing a lot of great work, Daniela. So
Thank you.
how do people find you? Do they just find you word of mouth, or do you advertise your business somewhere? Because I know you do really well, and I don't ever see you at events.
I made a very intentional decision not to go to events. They personally drain me. And as a founder, I think you have to listen to what speaks to you. I love doing things virtually online like this with you. Um, People find us through our advertising. People find us through our partners. Like I said, we work with a lot of different agencies. So a lot of times agencies are referring us. A lot of times agencies won't work with clients until they have optimized listings. Like, you've seen that. You
Yeah,
can't help your clients unless they come to
right.
you with something that you can work with.
Exactly.
So that's what we're seeing come to us as well. Doing podcasts like this, people hear about us. We also do this thing on our website that's kind of interesting. It's called a mini audit, where we will have one of our creative team members basically look at your listing and give you personalized insights, so that you can get like a test drive of how we would work with you, or what we would ideally like to see from your listings. And then if you want us to execute on it, we can. So it's like a little way that brands can kind of get an idea for how we work. And we actually have brands and agencies that just come to us and they buy mini audits from us, and then they give it to their team and say, go do this,
Oh my God, that's
which is
incredible.
totally fine.
Of
Totally
course.
fine. Sometimes
Yeah,
you just need
you want
another
people to
perspective.
utilize. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
yeah, you can find us at mindfulgoods.co and at launchreadylistings.com. I have a masterclass webinar of like our 3-step process that we call the buy now method, that after working with hundreds of brands, we basically said, okay, these are the 3 steps. They need to happen every time. Here's why each step matters. And it's a lot of the things we've been talking about in this call, but just broken down in really simple terms so that every brand builder can understand where they are at within that optimization funnel. And then we also offer a mini course for that for the DIYers.
unbelievable. So, are you the sole founder of Mindful
Mhm,
Goods?
I am.
And how do you feel about like running a company all by yourself? Do you ever wish you had like partners in a way? Do you feel like that would have changed the course of your business, or do you feel super happy by just having it run all by yourself?
I'm happy having it run by myself, to be honest. Like, in my last business, I had 2 other co-founders. I was very blessed to have amazing co-founders. Like, I've heard horror stories of teams breaking up and what that does to the business, and we got very lucky. Um, but with that came a lot of decisions of together, how to grow the business, um, and it was a lot of responsibility because we were raising capital, right? So there's just a lot there. This business, I did not raise any capital. I am doing it by myself. I, um, you know, am on track to become $1 million business, and that's it. That's fine with me. I don't have to be a $50 million business. I'm good. And I'm super happy that we've maintained like our growth at a great pace, working with the exact people that we want to work with, and getting amazing clients who appreciate what we're doing, and we're just like in this really happy place. So
And you get to work oceanfront in Peru.
totally.
That is so beautiful.
Totally.
So you live a few months there and then you go to Chicago. You have family there?
I actually started out that way, but now it's the reverse.
Yeah.
Now I go to Chicago only 2 months,
Yeah.
um, because Chicago's great for the summer, but it gets cold.
Right.
My family's actually in California, so now I spend
Oh,
about a month a year in California in Orange County. a couple months in Chicago, but we're actually probably going to be letting go Chicago because life in
it's
Peru
cold.
is very easy. It's cold. Summer in Chicago is like
Yeah.
nothing else. Like it is. I mean, you trap people inside in the winter for that many months, they are just ready to come out when it's summer, and it is the most beautiful thing. It's like Coachella on the streets
I've
every
never
day.
been to Chicago in the summer, and I have been to Chicago in a long time ago. I went in February, probably the worst time you can possibly
No,
go.
that doesn't
Daniela,
count.
I've never felt so cold into my bones like I have,
Yeah.
and I'm from Romania. Like I have seen harsh winter. I have never been that cold like that one time in Chicago, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's
I can't even
brutal.
think about going back. So next time I go, it's gonna have to be in the summer.
Lollapalooza, summer on the lake. It's
Everything.
incredible. Yeah, it's incredible. But also, they do summer series at the park where you see families like bringing their picnics and their bottles of wine, and
Oh,
there's like
beautiful.
free concerts in all the parks all through the summer, and movies in the park, and it's just like such a great place to be in the summertime. And the food is incredible in Chicago. I mean, it's like rivals LA, rivals New York. Like there's, like or every time I go back to Orange County, I'm like, come on, step it up.
Yeah,
The
it's
food
a
is
little
just not as
I
good.
no, Orange County, my parents used to live there. It's very chill. It's very mellow. And you have San Diego, which now I feel like it's kind of mellow too. So, with that being said, when you go to Chicago this year, if you do go, if you let me know ahead of time and I'm not at some conference, I don't mind jumping on a plane and coming and meeting you
There you
there.
go. I should be
Yeah.
there probably in a month or two, so I'll let you know.
There you go. No, I'm telling you for real because that experience in Chicago over 10 years ago, you don't want to
You need
leave
to
that.
just like wipe that from your memory with like a
Exactly.
good summer vibe.
I
Yeah.
would love that. So yeah, I mean, so you're not planning to go to any Amazon conferences coming up? Nothing interests you when it comes to that front. Is there anything as far as like new technology that you see coming up that's like caught your interest? Anything exciting, or you're just? I feel like just by knowing you so far, I feel like you're very focused on one thing, and there's very little that can distract you from the outside. So with that being said, is there anything on the technology side or anything that excites you like, oh, this may be fun?
Honestly, I'm just really excited about Amazon experiments. I just think it's so underutilized. I don't know why people are not screaming from the rooftop about it. I feel like Anthony, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I won't butcher it, but Anthony, who just joined Data Dive, he was working at PickFood before. He was
Co-person.
also kind of as excited as I am about this, and he was screaming from the rooftops about it. And he was telling me, he's like, I don't understand why people are not talking about this more. Like it's an amazing asset that Amazon is giving. Another thing that's interesting is Elizabeth Green shared recently that Amazon is now sharing recommendations inside your dashboard that says like adding A plus content will bring you X amount of revenue if you add your A plus content. And they're like giving you this suggestion and tying a dollar amount to it before
That's
you even, yeah. So if Amazon is telling you concretely, do this and you will make X amount more sales, do it. Do it. You
yeah.
know? So
Sometimes we
that's
just
what I'm
want to follow directions. Sometimes we just want to wing
I
it.
know.
You know what I
I
mean?
know. I know. I know. I'm actually like I'm become like a TikTok aholic. Um
Really?
yeah, I know.
Do
But
I
I'm
have
more
you
of a
on there? I'll have to look.
I'm I'm not like publishing. I'm just lurking. I'm a lurker
I go on
because
TikTok maybe once a month. So
oh
I'm not
no,
gonna.
I'm like every day on TikTok. But what I love watching is I love seeing like I just think it's like an opportunity of a lifetime for a lot of early stage brands to get a lot of exposure at a really cost effective way.
Yeah.
Like I'm at a different point in my life where I'm not trying to be like on social media every day, but for the people who are willing to invest in that rather than investing capital, I think
Mhm.
TikTok is unrivaled right now. So
Yeah.
it's
And
from that perspective
it's
I'm
cool.
watching and I'm just like really impressed with how they're driving traffic to Amazon in a cost effective manner. We're actually testing a service which I won't share right now, but maybe we can talk about it on a future episode once I get the results from the test.
Mhm.
They are actually testing for our brand driving traffic from TikTok to Amazon. And I'm really interested to see like what happens with that, right?
Yeah,
So,
I would love to know the results of that because I am working with some clients and we have been testing TikTok in a way of just doing the data reports that we're doing right now and driving traffic from different platforms, including, even LinkedIn, and we tried TikTok, we tried Instagram, we tried all of this. And, there is something to it. It's just like you said, there's not many people trying to go out and try different things. They just kind of want to stick
mhm,
to one thing. But one thing I'll tell you about TikTok, and I don't know how familiar you are with Gary Vee. So
mhm.
Gary Vee,
That's right.
I've been following him a lot over the past, I don't know how many years, more so recently because of NFTs and my love for them and what they are bringing to the market. But more importantly than that, on the topic of TikTok, he swears by TikTok in really anything that you do. He said, if you don't have a TikTok setup, whether you're a brand or whether it's your personal brand, you have to
Mhm.
be on it. And it's just so cringy to me. And I'm like, oh, like I have so many other things to do. I don't want to be like on TikTok, you
But
know.
that's just because of where we are right now in our businesses.
Yes.
Put yourself back to Isabella, who was just
Yeah.
first starting her business, and you were doing content. Like when I was first starting, I was putting content out on LinkedIn all the time. Like
Yeah.
I was recording little tutorials, publishing to LinkedIn. Like it was just part of my day because I knew I had to get my name out there. Right now, you and I are at a place in our businesses where we don't necessarily have to do that as much. But imagine if you would have been doing that and it would have been on TikTok. And what if in a shorter period of time, you would have 10x your results.
Yeah.
Like, what if, you know what I mean? Like, that
Yeah.
is what's so exciting about it. I think that's what Gary Vee's talking about. And there's like a window of opportunity for this because it's just like when Instagram first started, everyone got all this exposure.
Yeah.
TikTok is just starting. They're going to get all this exposure and then they're going to like start monetizing and doing all these other things. And somehow they might mess it up.
No, I agree. And I think, if there's one thing that people can do today, if they take one thing from this call is, start utilizing other social media platforms, especially TikTok. It's very short content. And, and just don't give up on it because you're not going to get the
Mhm.
results immediately. And it is, an uncomfortable position to put yourself in, especially if you are the face of the brand and you're the one talking about it. But just creating content over time, it will lead
Yeah,
to success. But it's about how much do you want to put yourself in those shoes. And I think you should. I mean, if you want to be successful, you would do anything. And
totally.
most people don't want to do
I
anything.
think when we did content too, it was more about like being polished and professional or like I mean, my content was never polished or
Yeah.
professional, but I think a lot of people expected that in the
Yeah.
past. And with TikTok, it's very informal and more about like having people relate to you, you know? So it's about authenticity and just less polished content, more about like, oh my gosh, I just had this idea and I wanted to share it with you because I think it could help you guys, you know? Or I was just working with this client and we just saw this improvement and all we did was make this change. What do you guys think? Like it's just like a conversation and it's so casual. And I think if you take the heavy expectations of what we think social media would be and you just throw them out the door and just start putting out these like day to day, you know,
Yeah.
learnings, I think it's just an easier strategy. It's less stress, you know? So I almost think in a sense, content creation is easier today than it's ever been with
Right.
TikTok because
Exactly.
of
And it's like
TikTok.
you said, it's like it's raw content. People love it. Nobody wants to see you super polished at your desk in your suit talking about something. Like those are the ones that are overlooked. Like we live in a society now where this is normal and it's totally cool and it's fun and you get to learn without that feeling
And you
of
can
like,
have your booby mug.
there you go. I love that. I have this is like one of the cutest things that I have. I don't know. I think I got it on Etsy. It's
Oh,
like
I love that.
I do my meditations here sometimes I do them in my other room, but if I'm just like between calls and stuff, I just like put these on and I do my little cute meditation and I love it. It always gives me like a good feeling like, boss babe, earphones. Yeah. So silly. I've never even shown that before to anyone. But no, I
I
love
love
it. I
it.
think I love what you do with Mindful Goods and I love your energy. I love how dedicated you are to your client success. And I'm so glad that we connected again. I know we talked what a year ago or something, and then we kind of, we both got super busy, but I'm glad we're
We're
connected again.
both growing our little empires. That's
It's
what we're
true.
doing.
I love it. And it just feels good helping other people. A lot of people ask me, why don't you like sell your own products? And I swear, Danielle, I tried. Like, after like many years, I was like, okay, fine, I'll try it. And it's not something I enjoy doing. And it's really not. Like
And that's fine.
I love helping others succeed. And, I'm trying to kind of figure it out on the NFT, in the NFT space too. Like somebody asked me today when I'm starting my project with the NFT. And I'm like, I don't know if I'll have a project yet, but I do want to help others bring them up and help them, kind of like what I did, with Amazon, but on,
Find your piece of it, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love
So
it.
thank you so much for today. But how do people find you? I know you mentioned a little bit, but tell us like all your social handles and your website. And if somebody wants to work with you, how could they find you?
Yeah, we're at Mindful Goods Co. on Instagram. You can DM us there. You can reach out to me via LinkedIn. You can find us on mindfulgoods.co. And we have the training at launchreadylistings.com.
Boom. I love it. Oh, Daniela, I want to see you in Chicago. If Chicago doesn't happen, I want to see you in Orange County. If that doesn't happen, I would love to see you again, even on Zoom. You were
Not in
wonderful.
Peru?
And maybe Peru, maybe. How many hours does it take for you to get from Peru to Orange County?
8 hours. San Diego, maybe less.
Listen, I mean, if there was an invitation extended my way
You
to
are
visit you,
invited, girl. You better come down here. Actually, January, February, March is summertime here. Weather
okay,
starts to warm up around November, December. So you are invited. You
listen,
know that Peru is like one of the food capitals of the world.
listen, you already sold me at Peru, and seeing that view, I might just have to do it in January then.
There you go.
I love traveling. I love seeing the world. Peru is not somewhere I've been. When I worked for the US Embassy many moons ago, Peru was on the list of the countries that we could have picked at that time. It just ended up that we went to Burma instead. So oh my God, there he is. I love it. Well, this is perfect. This is a perfect way to end, seeing your cute puppy's tongue sticking out. That's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for
Thank
having me. So
you.
great to reconnect with you.
It's been a pleasure. You're a fountain of information, and thank you for telling everybody here about Amazon experiments. And I hope somebody's gonna take you on it.
Please do. Make that
Awesome.
money, honey.
That's right. Thank you, Daniela. We'll speak soon.